What is it like? What has your experience been, either as an artist or as an art expert, working in this environment that I think, unfortunately, is still heavily male-dominated?
It definitely is, and it wasn't something I really thought about because I really just wanted to do it, and I was actually kind of excited by the idea that there weren't many women and that I kind of go out and be one of the few. But I was always way more concerned on whether I would be accepted as a street artist at all, because my art is so different than everyone else's. Like, I'm not doing murals, my pieces are teeny tiny, you know, I get any respect from anybody for doing what I'm doing. So I always was just kind of like a little bit shy, like, towards the whole thing, you know, women and men, you know, like whether they would respect my work. So I felt less like, will you know, men accept me more as well anybody. So
I think for me, it's like you said, you don't really think about it. It's just something that you need to do. You know, you just want to go out and create public art, and then I started realizing, like, oh yeah, I am a female, and you know, there aren't very many of me doing this, and so the attention starts to grab, and then in starting the all-women mural crew, it was just, we got so much support from all over so quick that it just kind of, you know, told me, like, yeah, this is what needs to happen. We need to encourage more women to get out there and do this, because there aren't as many, or maybe they don't want to, because it is a male-dominated field, and this, you know, can show them that they can do it. And as I went on, and the reason I chose to have only women in that mural is because the quote on that mural says, "A woman's place is in the struggle." There's an Assata Shakur image in there, who's someone that I look up to, and I thought, you know, as a form of artivism, as a form of activism in art, if we were to create this mural and it's all women, like, we're saying something just in the process of how it's being created. So that we're in our second mural now. We formed after this mural because people were looking at us and kind of saying, like, hey, we're all the guys. Like, this is all women. And we sort of like looked at each other and started asking us if we're a crew. So we're like, hey, we should be. And we just, you know, kept meeting, and we're all friends, and so it was really simple to form. And we've done our second mural, and again, it's just received so much support, and I feel like more so than an all-male crew would receive. So it's been nice. It's just yeah, I don't see it as a you know, a woman doing this. I just kind of see it as something that I need to do.
I think I came into it subconsciously, really knowing that I was entering a male-dominated field, but I really resonate with both of you, and there really isn't a choice. You know, it's like, this is what I'm doing. But I will say, with even like what I was just referring to before, which was, you know, some negativity or some contrast coming towards me, there was so much more love, right? And that's why I keep succeeding in these endeavors and doing installation pieces, and people want to be a part of it. I can't even tell you how many men want to paint with me, how many men want to get out there and just meet base with me, or just put a box out, we help you. And so there's you know, the yin and the yang to both sides, but I think it's important for me to bring that momentum. It's important for me to say how it's going to go, and for me to say, no, it's going to work out. You know, it's going to be accepted by men and women. And what am I saying? What is this really about? And if I go into it with that, the effect will be as such. So that's kind of, you know, but I had to learn the hard way. I had to be affected by things first, and to begin to go a little bit pulled back and forth, and realize, wait a second, this is how it can go. How do I want it to go?
I actually wanted to say that, because I handle female and male artists, and there's definitely a difference in, you know, dealing, you know, setting up walls, getting them taken care of. I mean, I wanted to go back to the legality thing, because I don't think as much in this city it's like the cops are, you know, roaming the streets for street artists anymore. I mean, I think it's a little bit more accepted. I mean, graffiti writing and that kind of thing is a little bit different, but we're mainly talking about muralists and artists who are putting stuff out into the city. So that's not, I mean, I think the shady things that come up with that now is like, you kind of have to go through people to get walls in LA, and that can always be shady. And actually, you know, what's going on in the city and with the mural ordinance and all of that, it's an interesting time, and I'm actually most concerned, you know, about walls being whitewashed by the city of Los Angeles and things like that. So that's more, I'm more concerned about the city and what they're doing to the art that's being created. So, you know, that's more than the cops, because I think the cops are actually cool with it. And one of the clients that I have is an old school weed paster named Robbie Canal, who has been around forever, and so if anyone ever needs a good lawyer, and you have one, you know, and in his day, you know, he was arrested all the time, but not now. They come out and like bring him coffee and like, you know, it's just a different vibe, and they love it. So, but I was going to say that, you know, between, you know, a male street artist and a female street artist, there's just different things to, you know, there's a safety issue. There really is, because normally you're, you know, you're painting in an area that's, you know, maybe a little rougher or whatever, and, you know, especially with human, you know, having her out there on the street by herself, you know, she gets her, I mean, you know, she handles it well, but, you know, she's harassed, you know, and by men, by female, by, you know, everything. I mean, there's also a lot of community and there's a lot of support and all that, but there's, you know, there's people who harass you, and there is a safety issue, and it's kind of hard to paint when you're not feeling totally safe, you know. And I feel like within the community, I find that other graffiti artists, and again, it's male dominated, so that's mainly what we're talking about. They're usually pretty supportive, and sure, I mean, you know, they think it's like a novelty and it's hot that here's like this female graffiti artist, and that's what, once they realize you can actually paint, they're like, they calm down, you know. I find, and I hate to say this here, but I find my biggest challenge with her, I come up against other women who have a hard time with a female artist, you know. The men, once they get over the she's hot thing, they're fine, you know, but women, that's a bigger challenge. They have a hard time accepting and being supportive, and, you know, in that space. So it's competitive, you know. There's not a lot of female street artists, and I wish there was a little bit more of a banding. I like that this kind of thing is happening, because I'd like to see more of a support system.
More cohesion.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So how do you guys forge such successful, powerful careers as women who are just so empowering and inspirational for all of us? How did you guys do it?
I'm like, how did you do it?
Well, I think I did it by just, I guess, marching to the beat of a different drum. Like, you know, like I did something wholly different than you usually see, and I think that's what really was picked up about it. Just a unique piece of work and thinking about the streets differently, and I really think that's what like jumped out at people, that they haven't quite seen something, you know, very close to that yet. So I think that was, it's a unique situation. I've just really grasped onto that and taken, when opportunity comes to me, you know, saying yes as much as I could, saying no when I think it's important, but really like working hard to make myself. You know, when I first got commissioned, it was at the Standard Hotel, and they were like, oh, you don't even have to like fill the whole space, and I was like, no, I'm gonna fill it. I'm crazy. I'm gonna like make people think I'm crazy. Like, I wanted it to be like a psychotic, like really intense, like I worked on that for a long, long time. And like that was really important to me, that people could see how much work went into what I did.
I started facilitating youth like mural design workshops with the youth in the area. And I started with one class once a week, and it quickly grew into 6 classes, even 7 days a week sometimes. doing events, and that just really showed me how much lack of art there was in this area. And it just helped me like develop my programs, kind of develop my workshops, look for walls. My first opportunities came from the city, but definitely the ordinance was a concern because I couldn't do murals legally, and a lot of times I was working with organizations that wanted this mural to be legal because they didn't want to run into any of these problems. So I figured it out. You know, I found loopholes. I found out that if a wall doesn't touch a city street, then it's perfectly legal. So I looked out for a lot of those walls, and then murals became legal. So now it's just, you know, all these orgs kind of seeing the work that I do. I know how to go through the entire process on my own. I can consult them on it. I just kind of learn into my craft, and even in working with the community, that's something that's not done very often. A lot of artists kind of go up and they do their thing, and they kind of put up their own image. And in holding workshops where I'm collaborating with local community members and local artists even was something unique. And that's something that's really helped me gain a lot of the walls that I'm working on now.
To get to where I'm at now, right? Well, I think I just painted like an extraordinary amount of I don't even know what. And until I really landed on something that's resonated as my truth. So I really did, I painted for 2 years straight. And I was able to make money doing commission work. I don't know how, it really just really kicked off for me. I felt like it was sort of the universe's way of saying yes, yes and, you know. I couldn't, I just didn't take my focus away from it. So I painted anything and everything that I felt really inspired to paint until I landed on things that started to sort of bug me. And then I would paint more of that. And then I noticed that it resonated with others. And then that really started to sell. And then people were baffled at how low my prices were. Oh, okay, yeah, no, I'll just give you cash. And I'm like, okay, you know, and so I just was like, I was learning, and yeah, I think so, you know, for me, it was just a real process of figuring out my voice as an artist, and then where I wanted to go with that. So now I have that, and now I know where I'm going with it.
I think, you know, it's important to, as a street artist, to hone in on your style and your voice and really be clear on the work you want to put out there. Because it's street art, you know, you want to sort of have a style that's identifiable. That's very important. If you want that, I mean, if you want to be known as a street artist. And, you know, I think that you have to just paint as much as possible, you know, as many opportunities that come your way, you should just take them until you're getting paid for it. And I'm sorry, because I'm really concerned about people getting paid. No, but I mean, really, I feel like specifically, street artists specifically, you know, there's a lot of like, this is going to be great exposure, you should do this will be great. And it, you know, there are things that are great exposure, but I'm also a real stickler about artists getting paid because I think it's really important. And so, you know, and there's a fine line between community and commerce and figuring out how you're going to make a living as a street artist, you know. So demanding to be paid on specific projects, doing the ones you want for, you know, out of love and all of that is good as well. But, you know, figuring out how you can make money doing what you love is really the key. And that comes from just getting out there and doing it and knowing your value as an artist, which is incredibly important.